We are a channel that appreciates its viewers. We give our utmost effort for the best quality content, and we even push for the highest quality effort when it comes to how we look for you on screen.
Hi. When I need my skin to look its absolute best when I'm blowing the heads off zombies, I set my ring light to 4700K. Because I care. Maybe he's born with it.
Join our community. Join a channel that loves its viewers. Join this channel because we care.
Yo, yo, yo!
Hey there.
What is going on, Mr. Jon?
You all know that I've been on a trial stimulator thing for my spine.
Yes, sir.
And, that didn't work, sadly. The best it could do, though, it did touch the pain. It brought it down by 0.5 point to 1 point, as long as I remained in a stationary position. As soon as I went to go stand or try to move, the pain returned back to normal. It couldn't touch that. But it did bring it down when I was sitting down and like in this position. But unfortunately, that didn't work. When they removed it, it also damaged a bunch of nerves in the back that now have left me with something similar to what people might experience to fibromyalgia. And
which is what we just talked about last week.
We just talked about it, yeah. And that's, the nerves, I hope, will grow back. They take about 6 months to 9 months to a year or more. Some nerves may not ever regrow back, so I might have permanent nerve damage in some areas. You have no idea how angry I am, guys. I'm just so angry, more at myself than anything.
Why would you be angry at yourself?
Because in 2009, I made a promise at the last pain management center that I went to that after that failed, no more trying to fix this, trying to reduce this pain. I'm just going to accept the fact that it's there and it's a part of my life and have at it. Well, my new doctor, it's hard, when you see somebody, they're smiling, they're gleam in their eyes, and they're excited about helping you. It's hard to look at them and say, no, I'm adamant about not doing this. Plus, the other thing, I didn't want it to be labeled as the patient that says no to his doctor's advice and basically be labeled as an obstinate patient or non-compliant patient. But at the same time, this put me at risk for now having a new disability if this doesn't heal properly.
Right.
And I can't even begin to say how frustrating that is. Enough about me, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. As you can see, we are joined this week by our man, the boy wonder, Robin, down below. Yay! We need a little applause track. Yay! Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah. I guess applause is what you think it would be. Yeah. So I really do feel for you, and for those that don't know in the audience, we talked before the show and obviously outside of the show. So I got to hear a lot more of Jon's background and stuff that Jon is dealing with. So just want to remind everybody that we currently, kybercave.com is having a sale where everything is 20% off. On top of that 20% off, we are donating part of our online profit sales. 20% of our online profit sales are going to go towards a GoFundMe that our fantastic director, Miss Mezzo, has set up in honor of Jon here. And it is to get Jon a new wheelchair. Those that are frequent watchers of our show know that some of the issues that Jon deals with. You know that Jon sits. You can't see it, but he's sitting in a wheelchair right now.
I'm not in a wheelchair currently because I'm in my office chair, but the wheelchair is right outside my door to my studio.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's right there. But I'm always sitting. I'm pretty much always sitting. That's all I do.
Right. And the chair that he has is just about to fall apart. It's on its last limbs. He's been fighting with Medicare for several years now to try to get replacements for this, but unfortunately, the model wheelchair that he's had it for so long. He's had it for 15 years, but he's had it for so long that they have a new model now and no longer make replacement parts for his current wheelchair, which means he has to get a whole brand new wheelchair just because this one little piece.
Yeah, these little pieces on there are failing. It's like so maddening.
Right. So we do have a fundraiser going right now. You can help out simply by having fun. Get yourself a Saber. Go beat up your friends. Go beat up. They're perfect for couples therapy. Great for deciding who's going to be cooking dinner that night.
This is the Seeker. This is available on the site. I won this one in one of the giveaways early on when I was first getting to know these guys, and the quality of the Sabers are amazing. I mean, amazing. So much so that I ended up purchasing their Dark Saber with the Profi board and a bunch of other little. I purchased some T-shirts and a few other little things, but I purchased a sword or a lightsaber in there that I absolutely just fell head over heels and just fell in love with, and it's hopefully going to be here once it stops touring the United States. Goofy.
We got a message that it was supposed to be in today, so I'm hoping before 9 p.m. tonight.
Okay.
If not, then hopefully definitely tomorrow. But you can never tell with the mail system, especially when it's coming from across.
It's hilarious because it arrived in your area, and then it went to Chicago.
It came to Oakland, which is
not too far.
It came to LA first, which is like 6 hours away from me.
Oh, that is 6 hours. Yes.
Yeah, that's where international packages, I guess, come in, and then for some reason it went off to Chicago instead of coming up north to San Francisco. So.
It happens.
But that Dark Saber will be in soon, and I cannot wait for you to play with that, my friend. All right, let's get right into our topic for tonight.
Definitely.
This one, a lot of times it's you talking about your experiences with some of these different illnesses that we have, but I'm going to have stuff to contribute tonight.
Excellent.
This is a topic.
I'm tired of hearing my voice.
This is a topic. Some of you may not know. My mother. Let's see. What year is this? 2013. So my mother passed at the end of 2019, literally December 30th, 2019.
Oh,
and thank you. It's part of life.
It is.
We all deal with it.
We all get recycled.
Right. So in my case, I took care of my mom. I quit my jobs, moved back home. My son helped me out as well, and we took care of my mom for the last 3.5 years of her life. She had multiple issues happening, but one of them is our topic for tonight, and that is COPD. So I'm going to go ahead and put this card up here.
Wow. Did not realize this one hit close to home for you, my friend.
Yeah, and you know what? We're gonna as soon as we finish these definitions, this one hits a little closer to home, and I'm gonna let you know about that. So, you got this?
I do, but you're gonna have to remove the little logo there over there for a minute.
The logo over here. Okay,
the clapboard.
Sorry, my bad. All right, give me a second.
No problem. It'll be off here in just a moment. Okay, so chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, refers to a group of diseases that cause airflow blockage and breathing-related problems. It includes emphysema. Wow, I've never seen that word spelled out before. And chronic bronchitis. COPD makes breathing difficult for the 16 million Americans who have this disease. Millions more people suffer from COPD, but have not been diagnosed and are not being treated. Although there is no cure for COPD, it can be treated. So you can treat basically the symptoms of it.
Right.
Okay.
They say they estimate as many as 1 in 5 Americans. There's a lot of people that have
Holy cow.
COPD that have not been officially diagnosed. And guess what? After going through and researching this week's topic, I am one of them. I realized that all of these symptoms were things that I'm currently dealing with, and they are problems that are getting worse. So
So
not
you're
only is
coughing, for
this,
example.
oh, that's been something that I've had coughing bouts for years.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I have, I guess, kind of a distinctive cough. When I cough, people often know, oh, there's Van. He's in the hallway. Um,
Oh,
uh,
no.
Unfortunately, you've heard my other cough. I call it my coffee flavor cough.
Mhm.
Uh, and
Gotcha.
I've been having, especially lately. When I say lately, I want to say the last 6 months or so, I've been having extreme shortness of breath, just doing normal things, just walking. Walking from my car to the front door, I'm wheezing already, and out of
Wow.
breath. So these are things, and when my mom was going through this in her last years, she was on, she had the
The
air,
oxygen. Yeah.
the oxygen. My mother had problems sleeping. She couldn't sleep all the way laid down because what had happened was she was building up fluid in her lungs. And so I guess when you lay down, it kind of like covers
Spreads out.
part of your lung, and
Yeah.
therefore you can't. So she had to sleep kind of at an angle like this in order to breathe properly.
I see.
So these are some of the things that I'm dealing with now, and it's very, very scary. I am a person who, especially as I've gotten older, have become more and more claustrophobic. And I'll tell you, there are very few feelings that are more claustrophobic than not being able to breathe.
Yes. 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 I
Um,
totally understand that.
I mean, you can easily panic. My quality of sleep, especially over the last couple of years, my quality of sleep has never been good. What's up, Alex? Thank you for tuning in.
Hey,
Uh,
Alex.
my quality of sleep has never been good, but it has been getting dramatically worse,
Gotcha.
to where I'm literally waking up every hour, out of breath and having to like you know, angle myself. And at first, this caused a lot of panic and anxiety. I literally thought I
Yes.
was dying.
Yeah.
But now that I've been dealing with it for so long, for a couple of years now, or increasingly,
It's just a
um,
part of your routine.
when I wake up, I'm not as much of like, oh my God, I'm dying. You know what I mean? I know what
Totally
it is,
understand. Yeah, my
but
pain
it doesn't
detector.
make it
Yeah.
any less miserable, though.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's true. It does not make it any less miserable. Does not mean that it doesn't take away from your ability to sleep. Does not
Right.
mean that it doesn't affect your health in numerous other ways.
And I work, some of you may know, I work as an assistant teacher's aide at a special needs school. So we'll have things like, children trying to elope, meaning children trying to, run out of the school. You have to
Gotcha.
chase them down, so that they don't run into the street and hurt themselves or get hit by a car or something like that. There's a lot of physical activity. And sometimes if children are violent towards themselves or other people, you have to, restrain a child or keep them away from the other children so they
Yes,
don't hurt the other children. And these kids are strong as fish, dude. Even
they are.
even some of these little 5 and 6 year olds,
Yes, and they're
um,
fast.
they're fast, they're strong. I mean, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 adults to get one child to be able to calm down. Um, so it does take a lot out of you, and it is, one of the things we'll go over some of the top facts and uh, uh, facts and myths and things like that about COPD. But one of the things that it was talking about was leading to depression and also leading to the inability, like for example, you know, this combined with, and we talk about a lot of times how we talk about comorbidities here, right? So a
Yes.
lot of times things aren't just isolated. If you've got one issue, many times you have several other issues that go along with it.
Hmm.
As for myself, since COVID, man, I'm ashamed to say it, but I've gained like 100 pounds, bro.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so my weight is an issue, along with, like breathing. And so a lot of these things are kind of happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So it does make it, it makes it a little bit scary. One of the big problems I have is I've been a smoker for years. And I have dramatically cut back. I switched over to vaping for the most part, but I still, I still have that call.
You do know that they have found that vaping is even more dangerous than smoking.
No, I didn't know that. Why?
It's because you're breathing in several things besides just smoke or the water vapor. There's small metallic vapor pieces that are vaporized into this thing, and there's other things that are going into your lungs, and this contributes to a lot of the COPD type things that people are now experiencing by the millions, because everyone thinks, oh well, it's much safer. It's not a cigarette. It's not nicotine. It's not, what they did was just simply put the chemicals from the cigarette into the things you're putting in there if you're using flavors.
Well, okay, so here's the deal. I researched this because, I was smoking a pack a day before the pandemic. When pandemic hit, I was smoking 2 packs a day.
Holy crap.
And that's when I was like, yeah, man,
you must be rich.
No, that's the problem. But aside the cost of it, I was like, man, this is not good. You know what I mean?
No.
So I switched over to vaping because, and here's the thing, I read research on both sides. Some say it's better than cigarettes. Some say it's, the same. Some say it's not as good. For me, I know that like cigarettes contain over 400 and some odd different chemicals.
Yes.
And I know that vaping has a lot less of those, including
tar. They do. Yes.
Also, too, when you vape as opposed to cigarettes, you don't have that cigarette smell about you.
You don't smell like a freaking ashtray.
Right. I know that my breathing tends to feel easier when I'm consistently vaping as opposed to having that occasional cigarette. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So I'm by no means or anything am I advocating pick up a vape and start vaping, kids. By no way am I saying that, and
I understand.
I'm not even implying that it's better than cigarettes. Everything, they're all horrible.
There's always risk. Horrible. Yes.
Right.
I mean, you drink soda pop, it's basically liquid candy.
It's all sugar, man.
Yep.
Have you ever seen, they have this really cool charts. You can make them. They're really easy to make. In fact, they're really cool scientific experiments to do with kids or whatever. But they take they'll show a can of Coke, and then right next to the can, they'll have a little baggie that shows the amount of sugar that is in that can of Coke.
Oh, wow.
And they have a whole display board of common things that people eat. Pasta, sodas, bread.
Sugar and everything.
Everything. Do you realize in the United States, if you have a baby in the United States and you buy them off the counter baby food, your baby will never have experienced a day of their life without sugar consumption.
Exactly.
It's sad to think that our baby food is half sugar.
Yeah, it is sad. And then we wonder how come we end up with so many different diseases, illnesses and stuff.
Right.
And I, kind of like the music industry conspired with the people with the profitable jail systems.
Right.
The food industry is conspired with our medical system to where basically the two of them are going to conspire to work with each other to constantly keep people in this ongoing state of need for healthcare.
Right, because that makes them more money.
Because it makes them more money on all sides.
Exactly.
I mean, when you think about it, good business.
So yeah, there's balance. If you kill off all your customers,
don't worry. There's always new ones being born.
Oh man,
the sucker's born every minute.
Well, let's go ahead and start off. We've only got 2 videos tonight. One is more of a clinical one. One is more documentary style. The second one, you might recognize the person a little bit more. But let's go ahead and start with the kind of clinical. Clinical one. All right, here we go.
COPD, short for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. It's a crippling lung disease that with time takes away your capability of breathing.
COPD is a very large problem in this country. About 1 in 5 individuals have COPD, but there are millions more that may have the disease and they don't even know it. The COPD Learn More, Breathe Better program is a national education awareness program that is to bring attention to a disease that we know is preventable and treatable. If you do have symptoms, seek out medical help and get a simple breathing test. Getting that breathing test is the first step towards getting an accurate diagnosis and then getting on a treatment plan that will improve your overall quality of life.
COPD is the third leading cause of death in this country, but is also the fourth leading cause of disability. However, there are treatment options that help patients live their life better.
The symptoms of COPD tend to come on gradually. They oftentimes are associated with breathlessness. You cough a lot, you have frequent wheezing, you have a lot of production of mucus.
While COPD was thought to be a disease of smokers, either current smokers or ex-smokers, recent data are showing us that up to a quarter of people with COPD have never smoked. Maybe they have been exposed to secondhand smoke or air pollutants or other dusts or a history of asthma. Finally, a minority of patients have a genetic disease that is called alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. And we are still investigating what are the connections between this and the development of symptoms like those of COPD.
Over time, this disease progresses, it gets worse. You continuously start to lose lung function, and unless we have our lungs functioning really well, we lose the ability to provide that vital oxygen nutrient to those critical organs.
You can't take deep breaths, you have difficulty of doing your chores, you can't take a walk. A lot of people have to stop working because of that.
There is no cure for COPD, but there are many options today that will help improve the overall symptoms and improve quality of life. Things like pulmonary rehabilitation, medications, pharmacological, there's behavioral medications, and there's a good opportunity to really improve your symptoms, overall quality of life, so you can live with this disease and do everyday activities.
We cover basic research programs, of course, trying to get at the core of the disease. What is it that is causing these cells to die? What is it that is causing the air pipes to narrow? And we are testing new drugs or old drugs that may be useful. Ultimately, our goal is clearly to try to prevent development of COPD.
Wow. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
What you described, you going through and stuff, I mean, to put a lot of people think, this will happen. This will never happen to me.
Right.
You know, like, what are the chances? The sad part is, any one of these things that we talk about here can happen to most anybody.
Right.
And COPD is one of those things that you can acquire at any time.
And as we saw on that video, they said that 25% of, although this disease is mostly associated with smokers, they said that 25% of people who contract COPD have never smoked a day in their life. It could be environmental. It could be that they live with the smoker and they're getting secondhand smoke.
Precisely.
Even while I was with my mom and going through her with her treatments, I learned about third-hand smoke, which I had never heard of before. Most people aren't aware of I wasn't aware of third-hand smoke. But third-hand smoke is, okay, so second-hand smoke means I smoke a cigarette, I blow it out, you're standing next to me.
I breathe the air that you just, yes.
Right. Third-hand smoke is I smoke inside my house, and I go away, and you come into my house, and the smoke is gone, but it's now in my curtains. It's now in my
walls. It's in the carpet. It's everywhere.
It's in any soft area, in actually hard
It's on all surfaces. My mother-in-law smoked, and it covered her walls, her floors. It was everywhere. Every week we'd come in there and clean, and we'd be wiping off this yellow smog-like smudge off of some stuff, and I'd be like, oh, this is just nasty. So yeah,
I don't want to tell you. Yeah. So I live in the house. I inherited this house from my mom when she passed. Okay. My mom was a heavy smoker her entire life.
Gotcha.
So now, like if you were to go into like some of our bathrooms that are white, particularly the bathrooms, because there's a lot of steam in there, so you can actually literally see nicotine drips.
Yes.
On parts of
you
the
have
wall.
to use Kills paint in order, stain blocking Kills paint to block that stuff and keep it from doing that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In order to get it out of your carpets, you have to remove the carpets and the underlayment to the carpets. Remove your subfloors, put in new subfloors, put in new carpeting if you have carpets. That's the only way to fully get it out of the carpet area. Curtains,
Right.
get rid of the curtains. I mean, you think, oh, I'll just send those out to get cleaned. You can, but there's a good chance that some of the stuff is missed. It is
Right.
very persistent, as you see in your bathrooms. You can paint over those things with typical paint, and it will still bleed through. The nicotine or the whatever it is, the chemicals in them will still come through. It stains down the wall and stuff. And it's like, how do we ever get rid of this? It's like lead.
Right. So some interesting facts. The rates of COPD in the United States are highest in the southern, east, and Midwest states. In 2015, the rate was as low as 3.8% in only one state. That was Utah. In West Virginia, it was the highest at 12%.
Wow.
But you can imagine, think about West Virginia, right? There was a lot of coal miners out there.
Yes.
There was a lot of people that worked in the coal industry. So that's the other thing. This isn't just strictly a cigarette related disease.
No.
If you work in an environment that has a lot of like fumes, a lot of welders, people that do jobs welding, they're inhaling these fumes that are actually toxic to their lungs. Yeah. And I guess what it does is it kills they're called I believe alveoli. They're like little air sacs inside your lungs. And what it does is it kills them, and it actually expands your lung and makes it bigger. But you're not able to take in as much air. I'll tell you what, even just, like, and this is really bad because, even just 2 or 3 years ago when I was saber fighting, I can feel the difference now. Like, if I go one round of saber fighting, I'm damn near ready to die, dude. Like, I'm really trying to grasp
man.
Get all the air in that I can get. And what's scary is that I know I just need to calm down. This is one of the ones where calming does help.
Yes.
I know I just need to calm down, let my body catch up. But again, it's such a scary feeling when you cannot breathe.
It is. I've been there a couple of times, and yes, it is. Oh, it's yeah. Your mind your mind is in fight or flight, and you're trying to figure out what the heck to do. How do you fight or flee from your own body?
Right. Right. So I do want to remind everybody, if you are in the audience and watching now, you have experience with this, just like Alex says that his girlfriend's grandfather has emphysema and has to deal with this. We'd love to hear about, he said, was a smoker when he used to be a truck driver. Yep. It's so funny how things have changed in this country. You can watch commercials from like the 50s and 60s.
Oh, yeah.
And they have commercials where, 4 out of 5 doctors recommend Camel cigarettes.
Yeah, smoke that shit. It's healthy for you. Yeah.
Right.
The Marlboro guy.
Digestion.
The Marlboro cowboy, remember?
Right.
Oh, I tell you.
And then even
Pall Mall.
Virginia Slims, man. How they get
oh, my gosh, yes.
Their slogan is "You've come a long way, baby."
Yeah. But really, have they?
Right. Well, that's marketing and sales for you. There is no cure. That's the other thing that's scary about this, is that there's no cure. But there are things that you can do to have a better quality of life, including inhalants, steroids that you can take, learning different breathing exercises. And they have a list of the names of some of these different exercises that you can do. It's amazing to think it is the 4th leading cause of death in the United States, which goes to show you how prevalent cigarettes were in this country.
Yeah, my dad was a smoker from age, I think he said he started smoking at about 11 and went until he was into his probably around his 50s. And he was born in 1929. And we walked around Lake Merced up there in San Francisco, and my sister had a tennis tournament.
Yeah.
And we walked around that little lake 2 times. The next day, he was in the hospital with walking pneumonia. His doctor said, "You have less than 2 weeks to live if you continue smoking. If you stop smoking today, you might have a chance to survive through this. But if you don't, at the end of the week, we'll be having your funeral. My dad stopped smoking that day, cold turkey.
Wow.
The weird thing too was he'd been smoking his whole life, and when they did when they X-rayed his lungs, he had just this one little spot of damage. The rest of his lungs were perfectly healthy. He never inhaled very much, hardly at all. The smoke just basically stayed in his mouth, and he just exhaled. So he didn't really ever take in the full effect of what the smoke does. Like many people will inhale, it goes into the lungs.
Right.
Well, I made the mistake of trying to smoke once, and I inhaled because I didn't know what to do, and
Right.
it burned the living bejesus out of my lungs. Holy, it's like they went on fire. And I'm like, never
Well,
again.
you know, you are bringing in. Think about it. When you're smoking a cigarette, right? The tip of that cigarette is lit. You are basically breathing in a fire. You
Yeah.
are breathing in smoke directly. It's what firemen avoid trying to do.
Yeah.
You are actively doing.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And so that hot, I mean, it's just like taking in hot air into your lungs. It's going to damage you. It's going to burn. Your lungs are not meant for that type of
No.
heat inside there.
But yeah, so just it's just amazing on how we believe in this capitalistic system. So much so that we will do anything and everything, no matter what it takes, to make money, even if it means harming fellow Americans. See, I can never run a company. I can never run a company knowing that my product or services were doing harm to people,
Right.
no matter how much money I made.
Right.
I just couldn't do that. I'd rather be poor and not doing that.
Right.
Because I'm sorry, nothing's worth that. Nothing's worth that.
I completely agree with you. It's why I own a lightsaber company. It's the happiest
Exactly.
job in the world.
Easiest way to beat each other up.
Right.
Plus, they're
So,
heck of fun.
so yeah, so this is something, you know, and I know with me, you know, like, God, like, you know, not to get too personal, but there, you know, this has been, like I said, this has been coming on for several years. It's been getting worse and worse, but I've noticed the acceleration over the last 6 months or so. But there are things that I want to do, like I can't even do cool things with my kid. You know what I mean? Like we were
Totally
talking
understand.
about going to the snow, and I'm to the point now where if I want to do an activity with my kid, especially if it's some kind of a physical activity, I have
Turning
to
on the TV and watching it.
Was that?
It's turning on the TV and watching something with the snow.
No. And yeah. For me, it's having to have him invite a friend. You know what I mean, so that they can enjoy. Because I
Gotcha.
know I can't get up and down that hill. You know,
Yeah.
especially as much as he would like to. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
God, I seriously wish that I lived near you guys because during the spring and summer, I kind of go. It's nothing strenuous. I just roll around, pulling my boombox behind me, you know, my speaker and stuff, and I just
Right.
roll around my town and stuff to get exercise. I go about 12 to 16 miles a day,
Jeez.
and just simply doing that helped me lose 30 pounds over just the course of the middle spring, early summer to fall of last year, and I'm going to repeat that again this year.
Right.
And God, I wish that I lived there because then, you know, we can inspire each other and we can go on little walks like
So
that.
do I, brother.
You know?
So do I. Well, actually, I wish it was more that I live closer to you, so that way we would be in California, where it's so damn expensive.
True, very true.
Although
It's
I
so
will have to
overrated.
say, I know this has nothing to do with the show, but I will have to say, dude, there is no place like California, man. Of all the
Nah, there
places that
isn't.
I visited, and I've tried to I appreciate that place for its own beauty and its aesthetics, but it's just not home, man. And you can't know until you've lived here.
Exactly. It's funny. People ask me, "Do you ever miss California?" I'm like, I miss the places that I could go. I miss the things that you
Things
can
you
do.
could do.
Yes, but I do not miss the hordes of people.
Right.
And the rude, just mean, obstinate people. It's like, meh, I don't miss that. But I do definitely miss aspects of California all the time because there's nothing like it.
Right. Yeah, Alex, if he has COPD, of course, he's not getting rid of it. It is an incurable disease.
Yeah.
The only thing you can do is to learn to manage it. They say that even if, like one of the things they brought up in this article was like, if your doctor says, you know, you have COPD, and then he's like, he will suggest that you quit smoking right away. And a lot of people will be like, well, if I already have the disease, why do I need to quit smoking? But quitting smoking does help with things like your blood flow. That's the other thing I learned in this too, is because the smoke goes through your blood and it slows down your blood flow.
It
Some
thickens
people
it.
will have swelling in their feet, in their legs,
Yes.
because they're not getting proper circulation.
Yes. It also makes if you were to get injured or wounded, or you go in for surgery or something, makes it much longer for you to heal and recover.
They were saying that a lot of times people that have COPD are going to be more susceptible in other viruses,
Oh, yes.
flus, more so than a person without COPD.
Definitely.
Should we roll this other clip? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, let's roll it.
All right, let's get this other clip going here. All right. And this was a person that I had no idea. That's another thing, too. There are people, well, again, and that's what the research shows. There are people that have COPD that don't even know they have COPD.
Correct.
So
Correct.
it can be difficult for you to know if somebody else has COPD, which this is a person I did not realize. But at the end of his life, when he found out about this, he went on a huge crusade to get on TV shows, talk radio, anywhere he could to let people know about this disease.
Exactly.
And so I commend him for it. But this is someone you may know, better known as Mr. Spock or
That's
Leonard
right.
Nimoy. Here we go.
Wait a minute. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Live long and prosper. All right, here we go.
I'm Julie Nimoy. Millions took that journey of the imagination, and my dad was proud and honored to be a part of it. But there's another part of his journey that needs to be told, a challenge he faced with great courage: COPD.
COPD is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. It's an umbrella term that includes a number of progressive lung diseases. Symptoms include cough, wheezing, tightness in the chest, and especially breathlessness, which gets worse when people try to do things.
My dad was diagnosed in 2013 with COPD. Then he told the world that he had this illness.
And I suddenly feel like I can't get a full breath, I can't catch my breath. Why is this happening to me?
At that time when he did start smoking, it was a time where smoking was acceptable. Everybody smoked. Smoking was considered good for you.
Yes, surveys show more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
COPD is the third leading cause of death in the United States, affecting about 30 million Americans. Half don't even know they have it.
Before COPD took his life, my dad became more and more determined to educate others, to create awareness about COPD. He cared so much, he worked so hard in his final months to achieve that goal.
I have a wonderful life. I'm very much in love with my wife. I have great kids. We have 3 between us. They're wonderful people. I have 6 grandchildren and a great-grandson.
My dad was an amazing person.
It's a journey not to the stars, but inside all of us, our bodies, our minds, to expand awareness, to understand causes and find cures.
My dad had a profound wish that this story would be told, and it will be, because like his beloved character, Mr. Spock, my dad believed the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one.
Join us in fulfilling Leonard Nimoy's final mission, a voyage towards hope and health.
Live long and prosper.
Man, that just gives me chills all over, man. Just
wow. And he said he had quit smoking 30 years and still had this issue.
Yeah. Gosh. Star Trek. I grew up watching that. I mean, we probably all did.
Right. Right.
What an amazing journey that took us on. And I loved his voice. He just had this fantastic voice that just
Right.
captivated you immediately. And
well, you can see how, you know, it affected him. And she said that, you know, he spent the last part of his life, you know, trying to educate other people about this issue and this disease. And, you know, she brought it up right there. You know, smoking was so prevalent back in those days. I mean, you can, if you ever watch any of the old talk shows or the old game shows, you'd even see them, you know, the host is sitting there smoking a cigarette. Right, smoking away right there on camera and on stage. You see it. God, I remember when restaurants, you could still smoke in restaurants.
Yes.
They had the smoking and the non-smoking, but it's not like there was a wall or anything.
No, there was no wall or anything physically. No, it was like, and I'm like, really? I don't understand how that really works.
Right. I remember when smoking, when stopping smoking on cigarettes was a big deal for a lot of people.
Yes. I remember when the new anti-smoking laws in public places started going into effect, and boy, was there a huge uplash about that.
Exactly.
And anger and frustration, people boycotting. But
right. Well, even here in California, because California was, I don't know, I can't remember if we were the first adopter or an early adopter of a lot of the non-smoking laws, but I remember the big contention was bars, right? Like everyone's like, I can't go to a bar and not have a cigarette, right?
Yeah.
But now they have an outdoor patio that you have to go out to the outdoor patio to go have a cigarette.
Yep.
So this is something, and oddly, you know, I don't know how it's done in other states, but for example, I always thought this was really weird. So California schools get funding through raised taxes on cigarettes in California. So the taxes on cigarettes in California are much higher than many states. And part of that extra money is going towards school education, right? Okay. But California has another funding initiative to eradicate smoking. So as more and more smokers stop smoking, our school systems lose money.
Well, what happened to the lottery supplying some of that money too?
Well, they do supply some of that money, but this is a whole different issue. I actually just recently read up about that. But what's sickening about that is that the school systems, or you know, the budget for the state of California says, well, we're getting, you know, $2.5 million from the lottery for schools. That's $2.5 million we no longer have to put in. So it's not making the school systems better.
It's kind of like me with my benefits. If I earn a little money, they take that equal amount out. So it's like you never get ahead.
You never get ahead, right? And in fact, in our case, you're only going to go backwards because as more people quit smoking or die off, that's less funding going to the schools.
Wow.
So yeah, it's kind of a crazy state. But I tell my son, all the time, I was like, man, and we'll talk about, my son is 14. We'll talk about, other things as he gets older. But I was like, man, the one thing, I don't care whatever else you do, but just promise me you will never pick up a cigarette, because you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I went to college. I had my fun. I did a lot of drugs. I didn't do all the drugs. You know what I mean? But I did a lot of things, and I've done things that, a lot of people get hooked on, and it destroys their life.
Gotcha.
I've been fortunate that I haven't gotten hooked on those things, but that cigarette, man, I can't. It's the one thing I can't get away. Cigarettes and Coca-Cola. Those are my two huge,
gotcha. Yep.
Huge vices. I don't even really drink.
Food is another one that we don't ever really think of as being something to really be worried about getting addicted to, but we have to have food. Right. Think about it. So we don't think of food as something to be careful about eating too much of, because, well, like when I was brought up, we were poor, so you ate everything in front of you.
Right. I came from an Asian house. I came from an Asian household. And you eat what's on your plate, and then you get another plate. And, It's a little to the side, but we are talking about addictions right now.
Yeah.
But food is such a tough one because, so for example, in my family, my mother came from Vietnam where food was scarce.
Oh yeah.
And so to be able to give your child, to be able to have a fat child is almost like
everything.
an accomplishment for her.
Yes.
It was her definition of success. I was hungry as my mom would think I'm hungry as a child, but my child doesn't need to be hungry.
Yes.
But that
in many
leads into
cultures, being overweight is actually a sign of wealth, a sign of power, a sign of making it.
Right.
It's just it's a positive thing. But however, when you come to the land of plenty, it's a little bit not so good.
It's kind of crazy to think that we live in a time period, for so much of human existence, when it came to food, most people died because of lack of it.
Yes.
We are now dying because of too much of it.
Exactly.
And not just too much, the wrong kinds of it.
Yes, we make the wrong kind super cheap and affordable and put it everywhere. The stuff that's good for us, we make sure to get rid of those grocery stores, get rid of that food chain, and put another McDonald's in there, another Burger King, another Jack in the Box and stuff.
Right.
But we want to get rid of the fresh whole foods, like the places where you can go get lettuce and cucumbers and all that stuff, fruits and vegetables. That's what I was looking for. We got to get rid of that stuff.
They did an experiment in Norway within the last few years where it was a particular town and they just wanted to test it out and see what would happen.
Okay.
But they offered any family who wanted it were allowed to have 3 free chickens.
Oh.
And so any family that asked for it, and I think there ended up being like 1,100 families that asked for these 3 chickens. What they noticed was that their waste reduction for the entire community had gone down by like 0.25% because these 1,100 people. And they were saying that, like, if you translated that to America, if 1 in every 3 people had chickens, our food scrap waste would go down by nearly 50%, and there would no longer be need to sell eggs in the grocery store.
I mean, we have several neighbors that have chickens around us. Our neighbor right behind us has, like, I think 11 or 12 or 13 or 14.
Right.
We got neighbors around us that have various amounts of chickens and stuff. So
Right.
I can totally understand that. It was like back in the days of the Great Depression and stuff. In order for people who basically combat those situations, they started growing gardens, their own gardens.
Right.
And somebody might grow tomatoes, someone else might grow potatoes, someone else might grow something, and they would barter. And then that way people would have all of the stuff they would need by barter, but self-sustaining.
Right.
And we went along and the government saw that going, oh, no. And of course, capitalism saw that and said, oh, no. What we're going to do is get rid of all of that stuff and make it so that people have to either have permits or not allowed to make.
Build legislation to tell you can't even have farms in your front yard.
Yes.
Right. But I mean,
if
you look at, and again, we got to get back to our actual topic.
Sorry about that.
But I mean, they were talking about, if you think about it, like, let's say you and I are next door neighbors, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to grow some carrots and watermelon and celery, and you're going to grow apples, oranges, and pears. And now we can trade across to each other, right?
Yeah.
Think about how much gasoline was saved or how much air freight was saved, because now you don't have an apple going from Argentina to Fairfield, California.
Exactly. Yep.
The amount of money, the amount of carbon you're not putting out into the environment simply by being able to have your own local community gardens.
And since we're small like that, we don't use up as much water. We don't use up as much chemicals and stuff to maintain and keep our place healthy and going good as like a huge, massive farm does.
Right.
Growing this stuff, I can't believe how much waste our farmers are paid to throw away every year. I mean, we are milk and food and just how much waste.
Well, when you think about it, I mean, they say that the United States alone, one country out of over almost 300 countries on the planet, one country produces 25% of the world's waste.
That's pretty sad.
That's us, my friend. I can't even imagine what China looks like with with their population. I'm not saying Chinese people are worse litterers, but I'm saying
No.
they have a lot more people in
They
their
have more people,
population.
yeah. And other countries are trying to basically replicate what the United States has been able to do to become a first world nation. So on their way to that, they're going to be trying all of these things that we were doing in order to get there. But here's one thing that I've noticed is that many of these countries are also bypassing many of the mistakes we made along the way by going, all right, we're going to go straight to solar. We're going to go straight to wind farms. We're going to go straight to, if we have nuclear power, we're going to go with nuclear power because it's very clean and efficient. And we're just going to make sure that everything is running properly and no shortcuts.
Right. See, but that's the difference between many other first world countries and the United States. Many first world countries are going to do what is best for the people.
Yes.
In the United States, we do what is best for the corporation we're trying to feed.
That's right. and you got to remember that the United States is a corporation. When you get down to it, I mean, without taxpayers, our government doesn't exist. They're not going to work for free. Think about it. So it's a corporation. And I don't mean that's not the way it is around the world, but we live in a country where we've been basically over the years taught to be afraid of our government, taught to not speak up about things for our government. If we protest certain ways, we're going to get arrested. If we take a knee, we're going to be booed and kicked out of the stadium and told to never do that again. Peaceful or not, it doesn't matter. No matter which way you do it, online, offline, we try to get our point across. Nobody wants to pay attention to it because everybody's got something to talk about and nothing to talk about.
Right.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. And we need to get back to this COPD.
COPD.
Yep. Better known as ADHD here. Yep. Nope.
So I feel like we've covered a lot of it.
We have.
It's just
I didn't realize you were going through so much, my friend. I had no idea.
Yeah, a lot of times we talk about your stuff because I think it's a lot easier to see and more prevalent. But again, this was one that I didn't even. And what's crazy is I just dealt with this with my mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the fact that I wasn't looking at it with myself is kind of crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now when we started doing this and I was doing the research for it, I was like,
wait, I have that. That happens to me.
Yeah, that is me all over the place. So I say that to say this. Don't smoke. If you smoke, do your best you can to stop. I'm saying this because I need to drive this into my own head as well. But in fact, I think that's something I need to make an appointment with my doctor and talk to my doctor and figure out how do I get off of cigarettes once and for all, because it has been a horrible mental addiction for me.
Yes.
And smoking is one where even, as you're smoking the cigarette, you're like, why am I smoking this right now?
Yeah, yes. Totally. I had several friends that were like that going, God, this is bad for me, but I have to do it.
Right.
You know, it's just compulsion.
I wish addictions on nobody.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I do realize with all the stupid things I've done in my life, I could have ended up with a lot worse addictions than this one, but this is still nothing good to deal with. And to watch my mother slowly die. And she had COPD, she had heart disease, diabetes, she had a number of kidney disease, she had a number of different things happening at the same time. But like I said, there are few things more frightening than the inability to catch your breath.
Yeah, there's sure. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that.
All right, my friend. Well, I think we pretty much have hit this one, huh?
I think so.
You got anything for this, Robin? Don't smoke. That's what I'm going to tell you. Don't smoke, Robin.
Robin, don't smoke.
Batman would never do it. He would never allow Robin to do it.
He's like, Robin's too smart for that.
He's a much smarter kid than I am.
Yeah, yes, he's very smart.
All right, y'all. I want to thank everybody for tuning in that has been with us tonight. If you are going to be watching this in the future, thank you for tuning in. If you are dealing with COPD, it's better to go, like one of the things they said in the video is good. The first step is to take the test. Go in and talk to a pulmonary doctor, figure out where you're at, because if you don't know where you're at, you don't know where you need to go. Meaning what you need to do make your situation better, because you're not going to get rid of it, but you can make your life a little more comfortable. Man, I'm depressing the crap out of myself, dude.
I hear you. I do that to myself all the time. So yeah, welcome to the club.
All right. So for myself and for Jon and for the boy Wonder Robin down below from Hearts of Kyber, we want to thank you for tuning in with us tonight. We are here every Wednesday at 5 p.m. If you haven't had a chance to jump over to kybercave.com, I would encourage you to do so. Everything is 20% off right now. Oh, and yes, I forgot to tell you too, we will have this fixed on the website in the next few days. I am not a technology person, so I always have to rely on like my smart director or my store manager. Right now, if you go to the website, there's nothing saying that you get any kind of a discount. We're going to get that up there. To get the discount, at the end of the transaction, there's a box that says promotional code. Put in AbiliTV, and that is what gets you the 20% off.
Oh wow!
On your purchase.
Nice.
Yeah, but nowhere on the website does it say that, so nobody knows that unless you watch Hearts of Kyber right now.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
But we will get that fixed within the next few days.
Get people 20% off. That's awesome.
Yeah, because we're not trying to hide that. We want as many people as possible to take advantage of that, because every purchase you make online is a dollar or two closer we get to getting that wheelchair for Jon. So
yeah,
we're going to be running this promotion all the way up until the beginning of May. So it's going to be the next 2 months. So please get over to kybercave.com. Check out the link down below we have for the GoFundMe. You can either contribute directly, or if that's not within your budget, it would help us a ton if you would just share it out and let other people know about it.
Definitely.
You may not have $1, but maybe your cousin does. So, all right. Thank you guys so much for your time. We will be back here next Wednesday at 5 with a new topic. I'm not even sure what our topic will be, but we'll have something.
Yeah, we'll have something.
There's so many topics to cover.
There is.
All right. I loved how Robin so many is. I'm learning sign language as we go. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. And let me get our little outro going here. We will see you next week.
All righty. Peace.